watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
There you go. Very good evening to you, and welcome to the second week of action in the Celtic Premiership. That Christmas is over, but it keeps on giving in Scottish football as well. We have got 73-year-old young Martin O'Neill back in football. And also we've got Neil McCann that swapped the TV Schoolgirl for a freezing cold Camargue as well. So we're joined tonight by Ethan and Robbie and Reagan as well. So we're going to talk about the games. We're going to be joined by interviewed somebody from the Killie Jew podcast earlier on, Stephen Hopes. He's going to speak to us about the game tomorrow and about Neil McCann, and also Robbie is now the Chris Masker of the show. Robbie, over to you.
Aye, so I thought we could start a wee bit different on this show. We'll continue to do this going forward. So there's sort of two new segments. The first one's going to be a question that I'll ask, and then I'll get the people to guess near the sort of end of the first half of the show. Just to sort of get people's minds what, and then we'll move into then I guess the player where I've got three players. I'll give you the transfer, I'll give you the year and month it happened, I'll give you the position, and I'll give you their nationality. And basically it gets easier as it goes on, as you can imagine. Yeah. So we'll kick it off with a question. Hopefully we can join them before we get the guess of players. But so the question for everybody is, who was the last male Scottish player to score a goal in the World Cup? That is, who was the last Scottish male player to score a goal in the World Cup?
Do we write it down, or do I just shout out the answer?
Yeah, no, write it down and I'll get your answer later on the show.
I'll write it down, but I'll put it in my memory.
Aye, and make sure you get the comments in as well, with some guesses. Pretty simple one. I'll make it harder as the weeks goes on. This is just sort of testing where everybody's at with it. But aye, are you happy to move on to the guess of players?
Yeah.
Aye, yep.
Right, we'll kick off. These are all Celtic related, by the way. I didn't know.
Is this guess one, or is this write them again?
No, this is a guess. You can shout out.
Okay.
After I give the first clue, you can shout out.
Okay.
So these are all Celtic related. As I knew I was going to be on a panel with Celtic fans, I thought I'd make it Celtic related for the first week. So the first player is Celtic to Liverpool.
Ben Doak?
It is not Ben Doak.
Or Ben Gavin?
We going back years, Robbie, yeah?
I'm not going to disclose that. I will say it's from any time period that each of the players. So,
is it Kenny Dalglish?
Kenny Dalglish. Ethan's got it.
I said that over, but I suppose he's the more recent one, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Kenny Dalglish. But so another two.
Yeah. So for that, I would have gave you the transfer happened August 1997. He is a striker and he's Scottish, and you probably would have got it the best half of them. So the second one is Celtic to Montague.
To where?
Montague.
Is it?
I don't even know where that is.
Shinsuke Nakamura?
That's not Shinsuke Nakamura. No.
Just that sounded like I've never heard of that team, but I don't know. I just thought it sounded.
They play in. I'm not going to say. I'll give it away.
Okay. Well, will we keep guessing, or are we going?
I can give you the second clue if you wish.
Yeah, second clue.
Okay.
Right, the second clue is this transfer happened in August 2019 after this player turned down a 1-year contract offer from Celtic.
August 2019.
2019.
Is it? Oh, I don't even know. I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. I'm not even going to guess because I know my guess will be miles off.
2019. No. Yeah, aye.
Right, he has a left back.
Oh, is it Emilio Ezagiri?
As Emilio Azaguirre, correct. Well done. I would obviously give you Eastern Durian. And then the only other guess I could have gave you is he played with Celtic twice, of course.
Yeah.
So aye, that was a bit interesting one. So the third one is actually a transfer to Celtic. So this is West Bromwich Albion to Celtic.
Oh.
Oh, I don't have a clue. Michael, you got an idea?
I should, but I don't.
Yeah. No,
Do you want clue number 2?
yes, please.
Right, this transfer happened August 2016.
Oh God.
So it was
So he went to West Brom from
No,
Celtic.
this is West Bromwich Albion to Celtic.
Right, okay. 2016.
I know what season that was as well. I know what manager had just come in, but I just can't think of who it was.
2016.
It's probably staring me in the face, but
Yeah, it's probably that obvious, even when, Well, we go on and talk about the games and come back, or
give us the final clue. I need the final clue. I need the
With 2 more clues. So
his
position as a right back.
Right back. Oh, it's can't remember his first name. Gamboa, is it?
As Christian Gamboa. Well done, Ethan.
Oh wow! Right, okay.
Would have been Costa Rican. So
I don't remember him, but I just didn't. He wasn't even memorable enough to remember.
No.
They were 3. I thought they were 3 easy-ish ones to get you for the first week of the show. Michael, of course, I tested this out with you last night as well, just to make sure it was a good idea. They will get harder to go on, and they'll go into more general Scottish Premiership players and stuff like that. But for the first week, I thought I'd go with them. So, well done, guys.
There we go. Now to the hard bit on the show. Let's talk about the games. The first game up tomorrow that we're going to talk about is Martin O'Neill. I think the Celtic theme tune could be the Hokey Cokey this season, Ethan, because it's one manager in, another one out, and the same one comes in. Martin O'Neill back in the dugout for the second time of the season. First of all, what did you think of the Nancy's departure? I know you were on the show on Monday night, but do you think it was? Do you think he should get sacked right away after the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I think he probably had to go, and I was one that when the announcement actually came out from Celtic that they had sacked Wilfred Nancy and Paul Tisdale would also be going, it was one that came with surprise that the Celtic board actually took action and done it. I thought it was what needed to happen because you've seen McKellen's comments following the derby. It seemed like he had lost the dressing room, and you can't lose 6 of 8 games in any run as a Celtic manager, especially right at the start of your tenure. And it just didn't look like he was able to adapt to what the other managers were throwing at him. We've seen that numerous times. Danny Rowe obviously makes the change at half time. He doesn't adjust. And Celtic capitulate in the second half after a really, really good first half performance. So, yeah, I think they had to unfortunately get rid of him. And, I think that was what they had to do. And then obviously the question was going to be who comes in now. And I didn't expect Celtic to go and get another manager, go and look for another long-term candidate. I thought they would try and go for, I thought it would just be Sean Maloney. I didn't think Martin O'Neill would want to come back because I think he would have wanted assurances and whatever, and maybe the assurance he wanted was to finish out the season, and ultimately he's got that now, and he has the chance to win another league title for Celtic, and obviously there's a Scottish Cup there as well, and he'll be very confident that with his record and what he was able to do in his previous stint before Wilfred Nancy came in, that he'll be able to at least have a really good go at that. So yeah, I think I think the Celtic fans on the whole are pretty happy with Martin O'Neill coming back in. He steadies the ship a little bit, and as he did in his first spell, and he had a very good record in his first spell, only that loss over in Denmark against Midtjylland, who were the Europa League phase leaders at the time. So yeah, I think it looks on the up for Celtic, but there's still a lot to do because they're still behind Rangers. I know they've got a game in hand and they're still 6 points behind Hearts. There's a lot of recruitment that needs to be in. There's been a lot of rumours flying about whether Kyogo is going to come back on loan and stuff like that. And the winger, Jocelyn Tabi, I think it is, the Ivorian winger. And there's been other rumours also. So, yeah, Celtic will need to be active because it looks like Rangers are going to be active, of course, and Hearts have already brought in a couple of signings. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. It feels like we're getting to the stage of the season where you look down the fixture card for the weekend and almost all the games mean something to some team, and that's really good. We've got, obviously, what you would say I would call the traditional three title challengers this season, but if Hibs and Motherwell can string a really good run together, especially beating each other this weekend, and there's no reason why they can't add themselves to that lot. And then you've got the developments at Aberdeen, Kilmarnock, new manager, not a new manager yet, and and then obviously the big relegation 6-pointer. So it seems like a really entertaining weekend. The Scottish Premiership football, as it has been almost every weekend, and hopefully it continues and gets even crazier into the second portion of the season.
Robbie, it's a season that keeps on giving.
Aye, I was reading the stat the other day. Is it like something like since the last time Kilmarnock won a league game, there's been 7 managerial switches in the league, which is just absolutely bizarre on paper. But it has been such a wild season, Michael, and I think sacking Nancy was the right thing to do. Ultimately, only winning 2 out of 8 games, losing 6 in that process is far from good enough for any team in this league, never mind Celtic. You know, the team that are meant to be so domestically strong, meant to be able to win everything every year. It just is never going to work. And I think, and you know, I'll probably get some comments off a Celtic fans for this, I don't necessarily think Wilfred Nancy's a bad coach. No one wins an MLS trophy being a bad coach. It's not possible. You know, you've got to have something about you, but was it ever going to work at Celtic? I don't think so. And Celtic have made a smart approach at hiring Martin O'Neill back in. With, I think, is Maloney joining them again?
Yeah, sure, Maloney's there, yeah.
That's probably the smartest move Celtic could have done, at least for the rest of the season. It will instill a lot of confidence into the players. If we're being honest, although Celtic are sitting third right now, it probably gives them a slight more bit of advantage now and they're going on a good run. You know, I can really see Celtic pushing on and competing again up the top end of the league, up with Hearts obviously and Rangers. So I think that's, Michael, the smartest move that Celtic could have done, and I think you'll see a real difference this Saturday against Dundee United, and I think we'll just see that with the crowd alone before kick-off. I think the crowd will feel a lot more positive. I think they'll be ready to get behind the team because, you know, now there's no excuses. You know, you can't pin this on the manager. This is the players' time now to step up. You know, you've got the experience head in Martin O'Neill who knows how to win things here. You've got Sean Maloney, who both of them done really well the last time. So this is the players' time now to step up and really show that they can go on and push to get this league and potentially the Scottish Cup as well.
Yeah, I'm sure I just seen something there that maybe we touch on quickly. We'll obviously talk about Livingston, but the rumoured signing that probably wasn't a secret to anyone's been confirmed now that Scott Arfield's signing for Livingston, obviously released by Falkirk, and now Livingston have confirmed it on social media. So I think that's a really big signing for David Martindale. Have already made a few, and they need to do. And ultimately, this will be a massive game for both managers and both teams this weekend when they two face off. But yeah, big game for Martin O'Neill, and he wanted to start on winning ways on his third spell, second of the season. Jim Goodwin will be probably quite frustrated because he would have been, I imagine, licking his lips at the prospect of facing Wilfred Nancy for the second time. Usually, as we've seen, it takes 45 minutes for managers to work out Wilfred Nancy's style of play. And I can completely agree with you, Robbie. I think you don't win the MLS and the other domestic trophy one over there without being a good coach. But I think he was just too naive in how much he wanted to change and how much he expected of this group of Celtic players. And maybe he's shot himself in the foot getting a European job again for a while, but he'll probably go back and find one quite easily in MLS based off how surprised I think the MLS or the American fans were with how disappointing his tenure was. So yeah, I think he's a good coach and it'll work out for him somewhere, but just Celtic at this time wasn't the right place and he had to be removed. So yeah, it'll be really interesting, but I do expect Celtic to win on Saturday. I wouldn't have said that had Wilfred Nancy been in charge. I don't think it'll be straightforward for Celtic. I think Jim Goodwin and Dundee United will make it difficult, but I see Celtic coming away with a narrow win. It'll just be interesting to see what team Martin O'Neill goes for, because he was building up a consistent, probably starting 11 with a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it, before he left, before it was all changed to the 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, whatever. And so, yeah, I think we'll see 4 at the back, and that'll please a lot of the Celtic fans that are at the ground. I think there'll be a better atmosphere and a lot more excitement of the Celtic fans going to the game with Wilfred Nancy obviously not in charge anymore, and Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney. I imagine Sean Maloney's probably taken most of the reins on the tactical basis. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Celtic bounce back, because they can't really afford any margin for error with Hearts and Rangers above them and Motherwell and Hibs right behind them.
Do you guys think there's any pressure on Jim Goodwin getting into this game? That was a really, really, really poor derby loss that they took, not even scoring into their rivals at home. And I know they've picked up a few good results. Obviously, you mentioned even the Celtic one. I believe it with Motherwell. They beat Livingston away in a pretty pressured game. In the first place, for him, he had to go there and beat Bolton with the league, and I think that's a pressure every team's undergone to face Livingston now. But to me, you're looking at the next sort of run of fixtures, and I'm going, all right, maybe Jim does need to start picking up wins, because fans are going to accept losing to your rivals, especially with how poor some people regard Dundee this season. And obviously, Jim Goodwin's been fairly backed in the window off the board. They've gave him money to spend, they've gave him players to bring in, and they're sitting in 7th. So I just wonder, do you guys think there's any pressure under Goodwin?
I think there is pressure on him. I think he has expectation probably from some sections of Tannadice to get that 6th place, because I think it's very much open to Dundee United, Falkirk or Aberdeen, or maybe even Dundee, or maybe St Mirren will make a late run at it like they usually do. So it's open to all those teams. Whether there'll be an expectation from most of the fans to get there, I'm not sure. I think staying well clear of the relegation places is probably Dundee United's priority at the minute, because you look at what the rivals done when they got promoted. They had a great first season when they came back up, like United did last season, and then it sort of not collapsed a little bit, but obviously they sat Tony Docherty last season. They were on the edge of being in those relegation places, and people tipped them to be there again. So I think the first priority for Dundee United would have been staying up. Looking at the moment, they're pretty comfortable in that. I don't think there'll be many expectations on Jim Goodwin to go to Celtic Park and get a result. But yeah, in the coming few games, I think he does need to pick up a few wins, because the United fans will be frustrated. It's always not nice to lose to your rivals, especially when everybody's hailed Dundee as the worst team ever at the start of the season, and now they're making a pretty decent fist of it. And when you look at United's next game as well, Ayr United at home in the Cup, I don't think that's an easy game, and they'll be expected to win that. So yeah, I think there is a little bit of pressure on Jim Goodwin, but I think he's far from being under real pressure of losing his job. I think that there's always pressure on managers to get results throughout the season, and I don't think Jim Goodwin's anything unlike that.
Regan, Martin O'Neill's in charge now to the end of the season. Are you expecting a full house tomorrow, but a different atmosphere?
Yeah, I'm not expecting bingo, Michael. I'm expecting Celtic Park to be full, yeah. I think in terms of Celtic tomorrow, Michael, the interesting point for me, Martin O'Neill's press conference, I don't know if you've seen it, Michael, but Martin O'Neill seems to be getting a little bit frustrated with the board already.
Yep.
We're sort of bringing players in. And also, Michael, let's forget as well, Martin O'Neill didn't actually shut down the Callum McGregor to Saudi Arabia deal either.
No, never.
Is that potentially on the way?
Yeah, I mean that must be a concern for the Celtic fans, Robbie, about McGregor. And I mean, Reagan's right. This talk's not been going away. In fact, it's been going on since before Christmas.
Michael, I told you last night I was listening to Scott Brown and Charlie Mulgrew talking about Callum McGregor, and Scott Brown was pretty insistent that if Celtic want to win the league this year, you need to keep Callum McGregor in the middle of your pack. He's that influential, so I think that tells you everything you need to know. Reagan's right. Martin O'Neill, the way he spoke about the situation, it wasn't very clear and obvious. I think even he not really knowing what the situation is there, and I think it is so important that you keep guys like McGregor in a team, especially a team that have, let's be honest, Celtic have been through a lot already this season, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. So to sort of balance that consistency and really find Celtic's feet, you're going to need guys like that in the midfield. So I think if you're Celtic, you do everything you can to keep a hold of McGregor, to be honest, at least until then.
What I was going to say as well, sorry mate, is that if you're Callum McGregor, you're watching that match last night. I watched it myself, a bit of Saudi Arabian football for myself last night. I watched El Nasser against Quesadilla, and Brendan Rodgers' team looks as if they're a pretty decent team.
Three games unbeaten.
Yeah, they beat
4 games unbeaten. I think it might be. There's 3 wins in a row, but I think he drew his first game. But he's made a good start over there, certainly.
I mean, they beat Cristiano Ronaldo's team. I forgot that. Is it Coman's there and João Felix is there? So they've got quite a good bunch.
I seen Brendan was laughing with Ronaldo after the game. I thought that was quite funny. And
then I seen that also, Robbie. Well, one of the players from Atalanta who Brendan Rodgers faced with Celtic, Rotegi, he's the main striker. So I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will be thinking, well, this is quite good for Callum McGregor. And I'm sure, and as much as Callum McGregor is I think he is now a fan of Celtic, but obviously, like, he played for Celtic, but I'm sure he can make a lot of money by taking the opportunity of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
I don't imagine it's an easy decision for Callum McGregor. Sorry, but I don't imagine it's easy by any stretch. He's looking at Celtic. He's looking at a club he's played for majority of his career, the club he loves. And then you've probably got Brendan on the phone saying, "Oh, look, come here for a season or two, make some ridiculous money, by the way, compared to what he's making here, and that'll be a family settled for a good while." So, I don't imagine it's an easy decision for McGregor by any stretch of the imagination. But what I would say is, I think if Brendan was going to make any advancement on it, we might have had some more advancements now. I thought we might have heard a bit more by now whether that deal was going to happen. I don't know if he's maybe just riding his time or what the situation is there, but I thought if McGregor was going to take a move earlier, we might have seen an offer put in or something done by now.
Yeah, it's an easy sell for the papers as well. Obviously, that Brendan Rodgers goes over there. Callum McGregor, who's had so much success with Brendan Rodgers and vice versa, would be someone that Brendan Rodgers would want to take over and make the core of his team. And yeah, I think Callum McGregor could go over there and probably stroll that league, even at his age, because he's still a top pro, as Scott Brown, I think, said in that podcast you were referring to, Robbie. So yeah, I think Callum McGregor, there may be a door open, but I don't think he'll leave in January. I know that it's ridiculous money and it's an opportunity that I don't think you can blame someone for taking, because people have got families to look after, and it's sometimes just money that nobody could turn down when Saudi Arabia comes calling. But yeah, that's an interesting one to probably keep an eye on, but I expect Callum McGregor to be at Celtic until, at the very least, the summer. And obviously you lose the character and the experience of winning that Callum McGregor carries, but you also lose that. I don't think you've got another Callum McGregor type player in the Celtic squad who can go in and sit in the base of a midfield three, we would imagine, under Martin O'Neill. We've seen Arne Engels try it. doesn't really seem like it's his cup of tea as a player. I think he's still trying to kind of really find his feet or what his best position is. Obviously, he's still quite young, but yeah, I don't think Celtic can afford to lose Cal McGregor at all. I don't think there is any chance that he goes to Saudi Arabia this window.
Before we move on to maybe make a case for Dundee United Kimo, if any, Robbie, do you want to repeat the question? Because obviously Reagan slept in tonight, so it's just joined us, and for people tuning in late as well, if you want to repeat the question.
Yeah, so we'll reveal the answer in about 10 minutes. But the question is, who was the last Scottish male player to score a goal in the World Cup? So I make sure to get your guesses in the comments. I've asked Reagan and Ethan to write theirs down.
You're not to answer it. You're not to answer
it. Write them down, and I'll get the answer in 10 minutes. So it's again, who was the last Scottish male player to score a goal in the World Cup?
There you go.
And I will get the answer in 10 minutes.
The Martin O'Neill basically, he never dismissed the rumours about McGregor going to be Brendan Rodgers. He says that we've got everything to play for, so we're ready as well. Jim Goodwin says, Robbie, that we're going to a difficult, it's going to be a difficult game, but we need to go there with confidence. But we'll be ready and we'll be looking forward to the game. And to be honest, you'll be up for the game, Robbie, because, I mean, they only beat Celtic, about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
You know, for all that, there's going to be a feel-good factor with the players, with Martin O'Neill returning, Sean Maloney, and all this and that. Let's not forget the run that Celtic's been on. You know, it's been far from perfect. I know that's under different management. But, you know, at the end of the day, football can take a toll on you mentally. You know, Celtic are losing every week. Celtic don't look good. Celtic are only playing well. They're only high on confidence. It will take a knock, and you know there's only so much that Martin O'Neill come back in to distill in a matter of a few days. So albeit Michael, that I think Celtic are still new favourites for the game, and I think, you know, not to give my prediction away too early, I think they will walk away with a 3 points. Dundee United have got to take a look at their form and try and capitalise on that. Albeit it will be a different system that Jim Goodwin played the last time. It will be, you know, a different feeling to it. He's still got to try and take a look, and he's got to try and bounce back after that Derby defeat, because, you know, like we've seen with teams, you know, like we've seen with Celtic, like we've seen with Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, everybody else, you know, a Derby loss can really take it out of you, especially at home. So it's going to be a pretty big game for both sides.
Yeah, we've got to remember that, sorry, Michael, we've got to remember that Celtic were far from perfect under Martin O'Neill either. I know they won a lot of the games, but they weren't unbeatable. It was a bit of luck here and there, and that's what makes good managers winning when the odds aren't always stacked in your favour. But no, I think Dundee United can certainly go and try and get a result at Celtic Park tomorrow, and I think it would be the first time since 1990 that they beat Celtic in back-to-back games if they were to get all 3 points. So yeah, shows that how historic a win could be for Jim Goodwin against obviously his old club, which he didn't play. Yeah. Did he play a professional game for one appearance? Was it or something like that?
I think it was one appearance.
Well, it was interesting. It was interesting, Reagan, because he said today that he was there when Martin O'Neill was there the very first time round, but he never got a game under him as well. It's good to see that the John O'Kenny fan club has joined us in the chat. So there you go. So thanks for watching. And who? Graham, is that another question, or is that an answer that you're giving us to Robbie's question? I don't know. So if you can let us know who
Robbie, do you want to repeat the question then for people?
Yeah. So once again, the question is, who was the last Scottish male player to score a goal in the World Cup?
So there you go.
I mean, it's a big question for Graham. Who do you think's favourite for the title now? I mean,
who do I think's favourite for the title now?
I think St Johnson.
Yeah, I was going to say Paddy Pistol. To be honest with you guys, I think for me, favourite for the title for me would be Rangers.
Ooh.
I think
So, what's your predictions for the game tomorrow, guys? I'll start with Ethan.
I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for the home side. I'll go 2-0 win for Celtic. I think they'll come back to the defensive stability they had under Martin O'Neill, and I think they'll win by not in the most convincing fashion, but it'll be a win, and that's a lot more than Celtic have used the last few games.
Reagan?
I'm going to go Celtic 4, Dundee United 0. I think they'll get off to a very big win under Martin O'Neill, I think.
It's going to be very interesting, Bobby, because you get both teams going into the game coming off a big derby defeats. So that's going to be very interesting. But what's your prediction, Robbie, for the Celtic Dundee United game?
These predictions are getting madder by the week, but I'll go win for Celtic. I'm going to go 3-1 to Celtic.
3-1 to Celtic. I'll go 3-0 Celtic. So there you go. Move on to Graham has just tuned in at the right time. Well, hopefully you've been watching since 5 by the way, or else. Dundee against Hearts. That game is on Sunday. It is live on Sky Sports. What do you make of this game? What do you make of this game, Ethan?
Is this the
Dundee Hearts game? Yeah.
Oh, Dundee Hearts. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really interesting fixture. I maybe would have brushed it off even a few weeks ago, thinking, I expect Hearts to go to Dens and win that game. But I think Dundee will make it difficult for them. They'll be high on confidence, 3 wins on the bounce, only 1 goal conceded in that time. But Hearts are obviously in a good spot as well with a win over Livingston. Of course, they lost at the derby before that. But yeah, I think this will be a really good game, and it's a really good Sunday of football. I think we've got, as I said, I think it's a good weekend in general, but this is really going to be a tough game to call, and I think Dundee will make it difficult for Hearts, but it's whether Hearts will have too much for Stephen Presley's side.
And of course, Robbie, Hearts has started the window with a big signing.
They have. I cannot quite remember who the signing is, but I know they have signed somebody. I also seen they were looking to spend about $300,000 on another winger, which they're certainly no laying down on the signings. But it's a massive, massive game. They can probably map it, to be honest, for game of the weekend. I know people go to Easter Road and say Hibs versus Motherwell is a brilliant game, that is. But for me, just the magnitude of which Dundee are on right now, three games, 3-1. Stephen Presley, I don't think I've ever been happy for a coach, because he gets so much flack, so much stick. Some of it he's in fault, might have just had for the sort of media comments, but even when he first got announced, before he even spoke, people were writing him off, and he's just shown that he can compete in this league, and he can get that Dundee team who everybody said at the start of the season was the weakest squad at the whole lot. He's even managed to get a tune out of them and get them flying. So it's going to be a massive game. It's going to be a Ken Hart step up to it. They did beat Livingston 1-0 in a pretty tight game. So, it's going to be, for me, it's pick of the bunch at the weekend. And it's a really, really, really big game for both teams.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think I can really see it going either way. And I would still probably tip the Hibs Motherwell game to be the game of the week, but yeah, I think this is a really interesting one, and it could dictate both teams' seasons. I think Dundee, if they win this, then you never know, they're well in with a shout of top 6 if they can keep their form up. I said they had the weakest squad in the league at the start of the season, so it shows how much of a good job Stephen Presley's to get a tune out of those players, and they've proven that they're not the the weakest squad in the league, obviously, by the league table. But for Hearts, they want to win. I think the two signings they've completed, I think, are the Jordi Altena, who got the assist against Livingston on his debut, the right back, and then Chesnikov, the Kazakhstani winger.
Stuart Hamlin as well.
What is it? Oh, yeah, Stuart Hamlin as well. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I did see that one. That's an excellent bit of business. He's been probably, I'd say, in the team of the season for central defenders this season, probably alongside Craig Halkett. I can't really. No one else is coming to the front of my mind at the minute for that. So yeah, they're obviously going up against each other for that scoring battle as well, because Hearts have obviously been so good from set pieces, as of Rangers recently, and I think that's down to Rangers getting the set piece coach, and I think it's something we'll see more and more of in the game. But yeah, big game for both teams. Could really dictate how far they go this season, where their aspirations can really lie.
And I suppose, Regan, that Dundee will be up for this game because not only because they're at home, but they came off a big derby win last week against the neighbours. That I think it's the shortest walk in football, just across the road, and you're there.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a wee stadium tour day by day, you might as well just go there for the day and just spend a wee day in Dundee.
I do think there's been a lot of, I remember when we had Stuart, the former Dundee chairman, on the show, and he was talking, and he wasn't too impressed at the time with Jan Dand. I'd be interested to hear his views now on Jan, because albeit I've not watched every 90 minutes of Dundee the last couple of weeks, he seems to always get high ratings and high remarks off of people for his performances, which I think just goes to show what type of player he is, the type of player that he can be. And Presley will need to rely on players like that, but he's just built a really good foundation, a mix of youth, a mix of experience. The rumours going about Rangers are looking to loan out Lyle Cameron. I don't know if maybe Dundee will be one of the clubs interested in taking him back. I know there's been quite a bit of talk around that because obviously the transfer the first time, so I'm not too sure what either team will be thinking, but I do think Dundee have just built a team that have got a mix of everything, but have a real togetherness, and Presley's ideas that he's implementing into that team are really working, and it's really showing off now, albeit he did beat Kilmarnock, but he also beat Falkirk, who have been in a good run of forms and come back up, of course beat his rivals as well, so he's on a brilliant run of form right now, and he'll be hoping that continues.
Robbie, I want to get your thoughts. See, in terms of Scottish players going to Rangers, do you think the fact that player from Dundee, you said, do you think that would kind of put off players now going to Rangers? Because you look at somebody like Brewy, right? I see Rangers are talking about they're interested in buying him, but the latest example that he needs to look at is obviously the man from Dundee, and he's hardly played it, and I think it's pretty bad on him, because I think he was probably the best player for Rangers under Martin as well, even though Russell Martin was one of the worst Scottish football managers in recent history. But I think sometimes it can be a little bit disheartening and a little bit feeling sorry for these players, because I heard them in to get the opportunities.
Sorry,
on you go.
I was just going to say, I certainly think that, look, from a financial point of view, it will be game changing for them. Going for Dundee to Rangers and Lyle Cameron specifically, he would be earning a lot more money than he was at Dundee. But you're right on the game sort of side of things, Reagan. There's other offers out there that are more intriguing than going to any of the big two. Maybe that let's not just put Rangers in this. Let's say Celtic as well. There'll be much more intriguing going to play in Italy or going to America or going to any of these places where they are really going to go and get game time. And there's countless examples you could show of that.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie, I was told last year that obviously Celtic were in the box seat for Lennon Miller, and Lennon Miller still chose to go to Serie A because he probably thought, well, there's not going to be a clear pathway for me on the long term.
Aye, and albeit Lennon Miller went there for a couple of months and he didn't really get game time, but now you're starting to see, I mean, they came off the bench in a recent game, and I was actually listening to the manager after the game, they was giving him really high praise and he done well, so, you know, it's clearly been a good move for him. You've obviously got Aaron Hickey that played earlier, you've got Scott McTominay that's earlier than now. You know, there's a lot of Scottish players in particular that are making that sort of route out Italy, of course, in US, you've got Ryan Gaul, Lewis Morgan. You know, there's players dotted all over the place that are going and making a career for themselves overseas, and you just need to applaud them because they're making that difference. And I do think if you're looking now as a player, okay, you know, playing with one of Glasgow's big two might sound intriguing, but also going overseas, going to an Italy or going somewhere the likes is also pretty intriguing. So it gives them a new flow.
Because Robbie, I think the best example I can tell you about that is somebody like David Turnbull. I mean, David Turnbull, when I watched him at Motherwell, was a great player. But I think when he joined Celtic, it kind of took him back a couple of years.
I think so. I mean, look, a really good current example of somebody that's not made a move yet, David Watson at Kilmarnock. You know, where's his future going to lie? Where's he going to end up? There's so many different areas he can go down, you know, in a year or two. So that'll be another interesting one. But David Turnbull, he had a lot of good potential at Motherwell. Didn't show it too much at Celtic, although I always remember him. I think he put, was it a hat-trick by us, one game at Celtic Park, which wasn't fun. So I mean, look, these players all have potential. It just depends where they want to let their careers go.
Yeah, David Turnbull, to be fair, he did have the first season, I think it was, the season Celtic didn't win the league yet. He was one of the if not the best player for Celtic. So
yeah, during COVID.
Yeah, he just never.
I think anybody could have been a good player that season because Celtic were awful.
Yeah, but I think he was the standout. But yeah, I get the point, and I can see why Lennon Miller goes over to Serie A, because you can't knock a guy going to play in which is on a weekly basis. You're playing against better players. You play against AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, Napoli, Atalanta. You play against them 10 times a season. So I can see why.
He's getting better weather. I mean, Michael's got the central heating on his place right now. He's got the heating on full blast. I'm sure Lennon Miller's on 25 degrees, and he's enjoying his spaghetti bolognese. So,
yeah, exactly that. And I think he made his. I think it was his first Serie A start the other day, and got praise from the manager. So yeah, he's still very young. Obviously, he's only 19, so there's a lot of development there. And I think for Lyle Cameron, it was always going to be difficult for him to really break into that Rangers team. I've been surprised with the lack of minutes he's got. He's barely got a sniff since Russell Martin was in. But he obviously, it's just unfortunate for him. But you look at Luke McCowan on paper when he went to Celtic, was probably one of Celtic's most strong positions of the pitch, and he's really sort of broke into the team and been starting recently. So yeah, there is opportunity for these players to go to Celtic and Rangers, I think, but you just need it's obviously a bit of fortune involved as well.
Ethan, Graham says 2-1 to Hearts tomorrow. Do you think this will be a tight game, or do you think it will be a bit of a kind of like banana skin for Hearts?
I think it'll be a tight game. I could see it going either way, as I've said a number of times, but I do think Hearts will just have enough. And I agree with the scoreline Graham put in. I'm going to go with 2-1 Hearts. But I think someone that was mentioned earlier, if Dundee are to win or pull out a positive result, I think Jan Danda will probably be at the heart of it, because I think he has been he has improved a lot in recent weeks from what I've seen in highlights, stats, and what Dundee fans have said about him. So, and obviously he'll have something to prove as well going up against Hearts, which obviously didn't really work out for him there. So yeah, there's a few storylines in this match certainly, and it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Michael, just before I give my predictions, I'll give you the answer to the question that I've asked the guys. So, of course, the question was, who was the last Scottish male player to score a goal in the World Cup? It was the 16th of June 1998, Scotland v Norway. It was, of course, Craig Burley, who I believe both Jamie and Graham both put in the chat. Reagan, Ethan, Michael, did you guys have that as well?
No,
No,
I'll be honest. I didn't have that.
I say John Collins.
Yeah, I said the same.
Yeah.
I knew John Collins scored in the first game against Brazil, but I thought there was another goal, but I just didn't know. I heard that stat the other day as well, so I should have really got that. But
I can't believe Graham's used Google to do that. I mean, the first quiz of the season, and Graham's using Google.
That is a good point, by the way. Danda might not be able to play, so that might hamper Dundee's chances.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I actually forgot about that one. Yeah.
Very, very reliable.
The prediction, Robbie, for the game, Dundee Hearts Sunday.
I'm going a bit wild. I'm going goals. I'm going to go 3 each.
Oof. You've been listening to Reagan too much. Reagan, what about you? I bet you'll see 5.
I was actually thinking this is going to be a boring game. I think it's going to be a slog. Stephen Presley dreaming. I just don't know. I'm thinking 0-0. I'm thinking 0-0.
Even if Presley could get away with a point, it would be a huge point for him. And once again, it would be him proving everybody wrong, because everybody's done that all season. Every time we've been on the show and every time I've listened to other places and other people, everybody writes him off every single game. People don't give the guy a chance, and he's constantly proving people wrong. So it's going to be a big game for him.
I will go.
I'm always back your team. I need to be neutral here.
I will go Dundee 1, Hearts 0.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
She's still the best.
Yeah.
Stephen Presley. If you want to win, don't employ him. That's what he said.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there you go. Dundee and Hearts. The other game on Sunday after the Dundee Hearts game is the game up in Aberdeen. Aberdeen like TV up in Aberdeen this week. There enough. Aberdeen against Rangers, and let's hope for a better game in Robbie than we saw on Tuesday night, because Rangers get the job done, but it wasn't the best game in the world.
As David said on the show on Thursday, Mike, I think it'll be a whole different game. I think it'll be a different complexion. I think now Peter's had a bit more time in the training pitch. Of course, Barry Robson said on Tuesday that he'd only had one session before the game at Ibrox, so he's had a bit more time to implement his ideas. And look, it's a game that Aberdeen I almost want to say you have to try and pick something up for this game if you're Aberdeen. They've not exactly been in the greatest form. Of course, Tulane went. There was, of course, the rumour mill doing around yesterday that Jens and Robbo were up at Aberdeen getting interviewed. That was a load of nonsense. I think they'll be hiding out until next week to start really getting their ideas across on who they want. Of course, there's been a couple of German.
I did see, Robbie, that the Aberdeen press are talking about that Rosler that was the old manager of Brentford before.
There's been a couple of German coaches linked for the job as well, which I suppose we'll sort of see more next week. I think that Michael Dave hit a nail on the head. If you're going to appoint a manager, it's going to be before the cup game. But I suspect with Aberdeen being at home, obviously we'll do the cup preview next week. I suspect he'll maybe win, but I do think next week's a sort of perfect time to implement a new manager, whoever it may be. And just looking ahead to this weekend, it's they need to take their chances, Michael. At Ibrox, they had their chances. As comfortable as Rangers won possession, Aberdeen had a few good chances. They had, of course, like you mentioned, the one where it hit off the boy's knee. They had the 2-on-1 that the boy picked out a wrong pass. So they definitely can get chances against Rangers. It's just whether or not they can take them. And I think they will need to on Sunday if they want to pick up a result. Of course, for Rangers, they'll be looking to keep this streak going. They're up there now. They're only 3-4 points off of Hearts, so Danny and his team will be looking to now go and capitalise on what they're doing and go and keep that streak going. And it's got an interesting dynamic to it.
There we go. But Ethan has got to go. He's actually failed a fitness test, so he can coming off after 50 minutes. But Reagan, Ethan, what's your prediction on the game, and how do you think it will go?
I think it'll be a tighter game than it was at Ibrox. I think Aberdeen, although Rangers took their two goals from the corners really well and dominated most of the game, I thought Aberdeen had some chances that with some better finishing could have maybe got themselves in the game. I think they'll make it tougher for Rangers, but I still see Rangers coming away with all 3 points. I'll go with Aberdeen 1, Rangers 2, and that'll be me. So thank you for having me, guys, and enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, thanks, Ethan. Coming off,
Bye-bye.
Ethan, and it'll be replaced by no one. So there you go. We're down to 10 men, guys. So yeah, I mean, Reagan, Danny Rowe was asked about the game today, and he says, you know, that it's going to be a different game and a different atmosphere on Sunday. I don't know what I don't know what the weather will be like on Sunday, but it's going to be a different environment for the game, and Aberdeen fans don't like the Rangers fans and vice versa and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
I've got a bit of a mad prediction for this game, but I think there's going to be a lot of goals in it.
There you go. It's not like Reagan to be giving predictions like that way, Robbie.
I know, but no, it's going to be a really interesting dynamic, Michael. I think this almost feels like a bigger game for Aberdeen than it does Rangers, in my opinion. I think Rangers fans will look at it as another chance to potentially close the gap on Hearts, which, of course, depending on what happens, Hearts play on Sunday, so depending on what happens before the game kicks off, they might be able to close the gap even more on Hearts, and it's just going to be a really interesting prospect. Of course, Rangers are linked by a few players. I know they're linked by a left back. A defensive midfielder's also in talks as well. So I don't know if any of them will be in.
Okay, Robbie, you know I love debate for this show. You know I love to spice it up, right?
Here we go.
I'm interested to ask you, Robbie, right? See if you're Stephen Robinson, right? Why would you go to Aberdeen when you've got a squad in St Mirren, you've got a chairman like John Needham who's been on this show, and he backs Stephen Robinson? You've just won a trophy. You've got 3 top sixes in a row. Why would you leave St Mirren to go to a car crash of a club like Aberdeen at the moment?
You know what, Reagan? I've been thinking about that the last couple of days because I've been trying to convince myself that he's gone nowhere, and I agree with you. I don't see why you would. I think for Robinson, the only job now that he will take, well, of course, unless like a Premier League team or something come in for him, the likes can offer him a lot of money. The only job I think Robinson wants right now is the Northern Ireland job, when Mike O'Neill eventually steps in, and he's got himself on that job. Robinson will get offered that the next time it comes around, the next time it gets made available, because he's earned it and he's done really well to earn it. So I'd agree with you. I don't know why you would want to join Aberdeen. Of course, it's a bigger financial boost. It's a bigger club. It's bigger resources, yes. But he's built something at St Mirren. Of course, we'll get into talking about St Mirren. I was obviously speaking to Michael last night. It looks like our chief operating officer and our sporting director is going to be moving on for the club, and potentially heading up to Ibrox, which, of course, we'll talk about later. But I don't know why you would go to Aberdeen, bar the sort of money that it'd be getting.
Yeah, Robbie, I mean, I just wanted to say that because I no disrespect to Aberdeen fans, but there's a reason why I say car crashes, because if you're an Aberdeen fan or you're an Aberdeen watcher like I am, Robbie, right, and you look at it, you've got a chairman there that, okay, backs his managers, but you've also got behind the scenes, you've got a director of football that looks all over the place. You've got obviously a chairman and Dave, who actually always tends to sack managers quite often. So why would Stephen Robinson move on from that stability he's got at St Mirren and change it for Aberdeen? Because all he needs to do, Robbie, is pick up the phone to your old pal Jim and say, look, what the Aberdeen crowd like was did Dave Cormack like? I'm sure Jim Giger will be totally honest. Stay at St Mirren.
Stephen will know what it's like to manage it. We all know what it's like to manage at Aberdeen. We've not done it, but we know because we've seen managers go through them all. We just watched Jimmy Tilleen go through it.
And I know Dave's great. He was on the show the other night, right? He was talking about the Aberdeen need a manager with a style. They need a manager that does this and does that. The Aberdeen fans expect that. I'm sorry, but you're not living in the 1980s. Aberdeen need somebody that can win matches. Aberdeen fans don't care about style; they care about winning games.
I mean, look. Regan, what I would counter that way if you're an Aberdeen fan, I don't think Aberdeen fans, I think they want to win first and foremost. I think they want consistency. But I don't think an Aberdeen team wants to watch a Stephen Robinson style, to be honest. I don't think that's top of their agenda. I think they'd rather watch a Jens Berthel.
Then I would say to you that Dave Cormack appointed the next big thing in Stephen Glass. How did that go?
Yeah.
So
you make a very good point. And look, only Aberdeen fans, like I can't argue for Aberdeen fans, but on the general basis of what you're hearing for them online, all they want is a manager to play attacking football. That's what they want. They don't want a Stephen Robinson that's going to set up a team to be defensively solid and hitting the counter attack. They don't want that, and I don't know why. By the way, I don't know why they want that, but they do.
Okay, then Robbie, I'll ask you the question then, right? Do you believe that Stephen Robinson is a defensive manager? Because I watched St Mirren quite a lot, and I would say St Mirren are pretty a defensive team. So I don't know where people get this notion from. Maybe when St Mirren play Celtic and Rangers, like every other club in the country do against Celtic and Rangers, I don't think it's just because of Stephen Robinson. You know, it's the same when see when Alex said that about Stephen Robinson. I mean, Stephen Robinson's an absolutely brilliant manager. I just don't get the disrespect.
Well, that's why people like Chris Sutton are online, because they only watch him against Celtic or Rangers. That's why they're online saying, "Oh, Robinson's this, Robinson's that." People don't know unless you watch St Mirren the sort of games that we take many of the ball. And what I would say about that is Robinson's no defensively minded, but he likes to make sure his defence is very well structured. That's what I would say. But the actual style, you're right. He likes to play attacking. He likes to be on top of teams. He likes to play high pressing football. That would all bed in well at Aberdeen. Whether Aberdeen fans want to admit that, I know. But do I personally see him being linked to the job? Do I personally see him getting interviewed? I don't think he'll be anywhere near it, to be honest.
See, when he goes into Aberdeen, but he's obviously he's not going to sit back against St Mirren and sit back against Hearts. He's going to go for it. You know, so I don't see this notion that every single match is going to sit back. I mean, if you watch Spurs at the moment, Spurs are doing that against teams, but that's because there's a better level of player down in England. But I don't think Stephen Robinson is going to go to Aberdeen and park 10 buses, as Michael would say.
No, it doesn't do that, does he? He didn't do it at Motherwell. He didn't do it at Morecambe. He didn't do it at Motherwell. It doesn't do that. Graham said it right, and I'm one of the very few that genuinely believe Robinson will work at every club in this league. Top to toe, first to 12th, I think you could put Robinson any one of their teams and he'd do a good job, including the big two, by the way, in Glasgow. And I'm happy to debate Alex on the show about that because I know Alex disagrees with me.
Do you think there's a bit of stigma around certain managers? Because I always said that about. Yeah. I always said that about Sam Allardyce. I mean, like, and people like that. Like, I just genuinely don't get it around certain managers. I think there's just a stigma around. Like,
and that goes back to my point, Regan, about I know he's not a manager at the moment, about Callum Davison at St Johnstone. I mean, he was doing a brilliant job.
And he managed to get them to win 2 trophies, and Stephen Robinson, what he's done at the moment. I mean, as they always say, Michael. I mean, Stephen Robinson is only able to work with the players he's got and the tools he's got. So I don't really see the point here that people are making that in terms of Stephen Robinson going to do a good job at Aberdeen. Well, I think he definitely would.
Before we go on to talk about Rangers, Regan, I think you were making the point earlier on, and I was asking Dave on the show the other night with Robbie about Dave Cormack. Obviously, Dave Cormack's got to have a good look at himself now, because that's what he's got to appoint maybe like the third manager, right? And it's went wrong so far. Apart from maybe Jimmy winning the Scottish Cup, but apart from that, it's been woeful ever since. So, I mean, I was asking Dave the question, and I'll ask you the same question, Reagan. Is it, do you think that the fans will get on Dave Cormack's back if he doesn't get this one right?
I think they will, because Dave Cormack is putting a lot of money in. Fair play to him, he's putting his money where his mouth is. But I just think that he needs to take ownership of the choices that he's making. I don't think it was a good choice that he made as well, putting the director of football on the bench, making him as
Yeah,
part of the
that was
coaching staff.
embarrassing.
And I know people said to me online that basically that's a thing that we do in Germany. But to me, it seemed like that German guy was more of the manager than Peter leaving. So it was a little bit strange for me.
Robbie, Rangers make a case for them because they won on Tuesday night. It wasn't I didn't think Rangers played that well on Tuesday night, but they got the 3 points. They never played well against Celtic in the first half. They got the 3 points, pagging the punt, but Danny has got them rolling on.
Danny's done a very good job. Probably the best job of any manager this season, if I'm being honest. Maybe outside Robinson, but that's personal bias. Keep in again. Danny's done a fantastic job. He took a team that were low and confident. A team that, by the way, isn't good enough by Rangers standards. I keep saying that they're no good enough. Some of their players shouldn't be playing at Rangers. They're no good enough. But he's getting a tune at them, and he's getting results. You only need to look at Tuesday night. Rangers won at their best, but 2 set pieces, 2 very well worked set pieces, by the way, won them the game against an Aberdeen team that were really, really flat in midfield, and Rangers took advantage of that for both goals. So, Rowell's doing a brilliant job. As Michael said, he's got them rolling on a bit, and they genuinely look like they can compete now up there. They look like a team that can challenge Hearts and challenge Celtic. They went to Celtic Park and beat Celtic, and it doesn't matter how bad Celtic are playing, you need to be at your top of your game to get a win at Celtic Park, as Rangers won that second half. So it's I was just laughing at Graham's comment there, but no, Rose doing a very good job compared to when the situation Rangers were in when he first joined the club, and he's turned it around to only a few point gap between them and Hearts now, and he's made them genuine challengers. So you've got to give credit to Danny Rowe.
I mean, when Danny Rowe come in, Rangers were 13 points behind Hearts.
Aye, exactly. That tells you all you need to know. And it's I don't know. It should be. I think he should be commended more for the work that he's done, guys, because he's taking a team that, as I mentioned, they're no good enough. He needs a lot of players in January. I know he's already linked with a couple, as I mentioned earlier. He needs to get signings in to improve that team, because I think when it comes to the big games, I think that's when he's going to be let down. And I know you'll come back at me and hit me with, oh well, he went to Celtic Park and he won there, but I don't know. I think a Danny Rowe Rangers got to think of, so as they did, I don't see him winning. And to be honest with you, it's going to take a few more signings for me to be fully convinced they're on for the title this season.
Yep. What I would say on Graham's last point about every fan wants winning football, it doesn't matter how they play. I think that's spot on, because you look at Rangers. I mean, I think Dr. Russell Martin came in at the start of July and he was talking about you need to play this brilliant football and you need to do this and do that. Danny Rowe's come in and Rangers are winning 1-0 against David Martindale Livingston, and they're scraping a 1-0 win against Motherwell, where Motherwell had the best chances in the match. But Rangers fans don't really care. Rangers fans don't care, and that's what I'm saying. See, in Scotland, it's not about, oh, we're playing great football. It's like Wilfred Nancy coming in and going, Celtic played a very interesting game against Motherwell. Celtic did not play an interesting game against Motherwell. It's all about winning the games, and I
Correct.
think Danny Rowe's been fantastic. Like Robbie was saying there.
Just on Graham's comment there about Rangers spend 7 million, 2 players, correct. The Hearts can do that, but what Hearts do better than Rangers and Celtic this season is they're picking out players that they can't spend hunters on, but every player they're signing looks good. 99% of
I was just sorry, Robbie. I was just going to ask Graham there. I was at the match 4 weeks ago with Partick Thistle and St Johnstone, and I was listening to St Johnstone fans singing that Josh McPaig song. So I'm just hoping that that Josh McPaig he can join Time Capsule.
Well, that's
And-
another one of the signings, Reagan. That's my point. Rangers and Celtic can spend millions and millions of pounds. Celtic done it with 2 wingers this season. Both of them not even getting anywhere near the squad. Rangers can spend millions of pounds on players that don't work. We've seen that with Yusuf Chamiti, who, albeit he did score 2, but I still don't believe that will fully work. Hearts have a really good position right now, guys, where they're spending money, really cheap money on players, but they're all working it and they're all quality at Hearts. That's what Rangers and Celtic are doing right now. They're spending millions, but signing players that they're going to sell on for, I don't know, a couple million less than they bought them for. Hearts are spending money on players like Claudio Braga, where they can then go and sell them on for 5 million to Wolves, who seemingly are still interested in them. So, Hearts are get their transfer recruitment spot on with Jamestown Analytics and all that. And that's the difference.
I think one thing about Time Capsule as well, Robbie, sorry, is they're going to have the best songbook in this country as well. Because that the big song, the Braga, they've got so many good songs now.
Aye, there's a lot of good songs in Scottish football in general, to be fair. It'd be nice to do a little stream on different songs and all that sort of stuff and how they came about. But
The best song is Partick Thistle Boing Boing, and that's
is that your band coming into play there, Reagan?
that's been going around for all this season.
The best songs, I think the best songs, Claudio Braga's. Oh, aye, I think it's Claudio Braga's. But
I mean, I quite like that Josh McPaig. Watching Josh McPaig on a Saturday.
So, Aberdeen against Rangers, guys. What's your prediction for this one? I will go a narrow 2-1 win to Rangers.
I'll go Aberdeen 3, Rangers 4.
Oh my God, man. What a prediction. Well, Michael took my prediction, so I'm going to go 3-1 to Rangers.
Oh, there you go. 3-1 to Rangers. So there you go.
If it's 4-3 to Rangers, you can come back to me on Monday. I'm telling you, it's going to be a good goal fest. I don't see Aberdeen winning the game, but I see there being 3 goals from Aberdeen.
There you go. Aberdeen against Rangers. Let's go to I might put this as the classical derby, but also, Robert, it's a 6-pointer and Livingston and Kilmarnock. Before we talk about the game, guys, Kilmarnock appointed a new manager just this week, actually. Neil McCann swapped the TV studio for a freezing cold dugout at Livingston on Saturday, tomorrow. And I interviewed Stephen Hope for the Kelly View podcast about the game and also what was his take on Neil McCann coming to Kilmarnock. Manager at the Herman, we've got Neil McCann. First of all, let's speak about Stuart Kettlewell. Do you think it was harshly critiqued by the Kilmarnock fans, or do you think that it was too quick to take a job after after kind of like leaving Motherwell?
Well, I expressed my opinion certainly on our podcast regarding the appointment of him to start with, and I think the problems, unfortunately, at our club go a wee bit deeper than in terms of recruitment process. We really should have somebody on the board that is a football mind. We don't have that. Billy Bowie obviously puts a load of money into it, but unfortunately, we don't have a sort of director of football or whatever. I think if something like that had been in place for the recruitment process to start, we would have got a better candidate, a better quality candidate. And you know, when 93% of the fan base don't want Kettlewell as the appointment, you know, I think it's not quite reading the room for our point of view, so not good. And I still think that's something, even in the as we get into a new era, I think that's something that the club, you know, if you look at the training facilities, we're spending £5 million on that. We're going back to grass. You know, the Kelly Trust, the Kelly community. There's lots of brilliant stuff going on round about the club, but we kind of run it with one man deciding what happens, you know, and unfortunately, you know, that's come back to bite us really, because I don't know many Kelly, well, as I say, 92% when they took a poll of the fan base that didn't want Stuart in position. He's the quality of the recruitment in terms of the players that we got as well when he came in, you know, it was like, you know, these are journeyman players, no disrespect to any players because I don't like calling anybody out, but you know, the quality of the signings just wasn't there. But you know, we were always going to drop off for Derek, having been there, and there was quite a bit of money thrown at the team when he was there as well. So, and we all knew this was going to be kind of cost cutting, but I feel that there would have been better candidates. And I think, to be fair, Robbie Neilson was one of the candidates that was looked at when Kettlewell was given the job, and for whatever reason that didn't happen. So you know, it's I think we put ourselves in a position, unfortunately, because we don't have a buffer between Billy and you know, as I say, a football mind. Many years ago we had James Fowler in that kind of position, but that was probably the wrong man at the wrong time, to be honest. But we could be doing with a football brain and experience on the board, just to kind of, you know, like when we're losing players like Danny Armstrong, Bobby Wales, you know, these are going for youth development fees and for nothing. You know, that's something that someone like that, we had recently on some time ago in the Kellyview podcast, we had Davy McKinnon on as a guest, and Davy's been, you know, he's a club legend, but he's been with Dundee as a director of football. You know, he knows contracts, agents, etc. You know, so somebody like that would be ideal for us, and we should have that structure. We kind of ripped that structure up. We were fortunate in the couple of appointments that had with Steve Clark and Derek McInnes, whereby they pretty much wanted to do their own thing, and Billy let them get on with it. We had good success with that, in fairness. So, but yeah, I think we still need someone to advise the board when we're getting an appointment. So I think weak recruitment in terms of Kettlewell coming in. And then weak recruitment from the players that he brought in as well, and not getting the best tune out of some of the players that were already there as well. So you know, it was a bit, we waited too long to pull the trigger on getting rid of Stuart, and I don't wish to see anybody out of a job or whatever. Nice enough guy, etc. But results don't lie. You know, 14. Without a win sort of thing currently, but you know, it just was, it was the wrong appointment, but yeah, we're onwards and upwards. But yeah, he's bounced back obviously at Ross County again, so good luck to them.
Yeah. So obviously Stuart Kettlewell is away. Robbie Neilson was touted for the manager's job. From a TV studio to the dugout, Neil McCann is in the dugout for Kilmarnock, and going by his press conference yesterday, he basically says, I've got a big ambition to turn things around. We don't look too far ahead because we've got a big game tomorrow. Obviously, we'll talk about the Livingston game in a moment or two, but what do you think of the appointment of McCann?
Well, again, you know, I think, to be honest, maybe, you know, I think obviously the board in terms of communication didn't communicate the whole process very well either. You know, we come to transfer deadline day, and then the club put a statement out saying that they want somebody to come in, hit the ground running and experienced, etc. sort of thing. But you know, I think obviously there was a wee bit of speculation then in the press regarding Neilson and other candidates. Peter Leven, I think, was even mentioned as well at one point. But obviously Talene went to Aberdeen. So the process, how rigorous and whatever it was, I think if you read Billy Dodd's comments, they sort of get whistle stopped in on Monday, accepted the deal, and then was announced on Tuesday sort of thing, you know. So that party, it seems very sharp. 2.5-year deal as well for somebody that's not been dug out for a wee while. Maybe seemed to some, you know, no great. But I think if you look at the combined experience between the two, I think we might actually do all right. He's always been very articulate in the media. Neil McCann talks a very good game. when he first went in at Dundee, he actually helped keep them up, sort of thing. But obviously, after that it went a bit awry, and it sounds like Rangers gave him the zest to come back into it when he went in. Obviously, short term with Barry Ferguson, it's kind of got the juices flowing again, sort of thing. I don't think he's under any illusion. It's good that he's name checking the likes of Jim Jeffries and Steve Clark and Derek McInnes, that he's already kind of touched base with them as well. So he's getting an understanding of the club and what's about it as well. So no, I think that, albeit it's maybe a slightly underwhelming appointment, as you thought maybe Nielsen would be a kind of better fit, but I think financially there's probably, and otherwise there's probably assurances that weren't met by the board as to how that process has not got us to Robbie Nielsen and got us to Neil McCann. But I think you've got to, like I said previously in the podcast, is that you need to give somebody a chance. Let's get them in the door. The guy's got the position now. As I say, I was very impressed on his. I always liked him as a pundit, to be honest. Anyway, when he was on Sky, etc., that he's always quite well balanced. Billy Dodds as well. He's very good, and the good thing about the two of them coming in is that effectively players like Ben Brannan. That's probably the one thing that we could say from Stuart Kettlewell's time at the club. That's the one thing he done right for us. We tied that boy down to a 3-year deal. So that, from our point of view, he's a fantastic player. And if you look at him as well, he's got pace, he likes running at a man. So McCann will be right up his street. So, his game time has been limited. So from our point of view, that can only be a plus, Neil coming in and working with him. And again, Billy coming in as a striker, that's going to help the strike force as well, because like everybody knows, we have not had our sorrows to seat in terms of in front of goal. We are struggling. Bruce Anderson, Tyrese, Marley Watkins comes back on there and he's injured again. So we've definitely had our challenges. But so Billy coming in with the experience he's had at Inverness Cali and the past, he worked with Gordon Chisholm at Queenie of South. So he's got a plethora of experience as an assistant manager and a manager as well. So we're getting two for the price of one, really. So for me, I think it's positive. And time will tell in terms of results. So we'll look to see how that goes.
So 14 without a win, Stephen, you go to Livingston this weekend, and I suppose from a new manager's point of view, this would be a bit of a kind of easy, so-called easy start going to your neighbours at the bottom of the table, and I think like you would call this not 3 points, but a kind of 6 point a game.
Yeah, and some I'm sure will call it the Battle of Plastic as well. But but yeah, I mean, again, if you kind of have a wee look at them as well, though, they're similar as well. If you look at their strike force, I mean, certainly last time out against Hearts, they played a 4-3-3. Martindale played. He had McLennan, May, and Yengi. Big boy Yengi's quite a height. I mean, he's quite a unit, that boy. But their goals ain't great return either. Conor McLennan, he's only scored once. Stevie May's only 5. 9 goals for Yengi. Robbie Muirhead has been on the bench for the last couple of games, which, from a Kelly point of view, that could come back to bite us because he's obviously one of our own for yesteryear. So I don't know whether he's had injuries or whatever, but he's been on the bench and he's by far the best striker. He's scored 14 goals for him in 38 appearances. So he's the man to watch. If he could be the man that could hurt us in reality. But yeah, they're on they're obviously in a bit of a downward spiral as well. If you look at the last sort of half dozen results, beat at Hearts away, Dundee United 3-1 to get beat for them, Celtic 4-2 when they actually looked all right in that game. St Mirren away 1-0, Dundee game they got a draw. They were at home for that. A man sent off last thing, and then beat for Motherwell sort of thing. If you look at the immediately last 6 fixtures sort of thing, so they're in a similar place to us, in terms of they need to get a result for somewhere. And yeah, it'll be a challenge, but as I say, big Robbie Muirhead's probably the only fear that I initially have. But I think new manager bounce from our point of view. Only negative we've got is David Watson obviously gets sent off against Hibs, so he's out. He's going to miss the game. But I think in reality Tom Lowry will possibly go in there. Maybe McGuinness will get a wee bit of another a start under maybe Greg Kiltie sort of thing. It'll all depend how Neil was going and training with the guys sort of thing. But yeah, apart from Watson being out, and as I said, touched on Ben Brannan as well. Hopefully that it's going to mean a starting place for him with Neil being in the building. So I think we've got enough beat Livy without being arrogant about it, and we've been in a bad place. But I think by the sound of it, there's quite a few fans going up as well, sort of thing. So I think a combination of a wee bit of a new manager bounce, and I think we know we're in a bit of a sticky position. So yeah, I think we're up to the task.
There we go. That was Stephen Holtz joining us from the Kelly podcast. Robbie Reagan, what did you think of that appointment, Neil McCann?
Reagan, if I can just go first, please, mate. I've been waiting all day to say this. I think this is genuinely a dreadful appointment, and I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say that Neil McCann will be the next manager sacked. As quick as he's already come in, I think he'll be sacked.
You think so?
I don't feel inspired by this appointment by any means. If Kilmarnock wanted a sensible appointment, they should have flung everything at Robbie Neilson and get him in charge. I don't think Neil McCann's got what it takes to save Kilmarnock right now. I think they should have maybe have given it to Chris Doolan, even though it wasn't fully working. I don't feel any hope in this appointment, and I think it's only going to get worse for Kilmarnock, to be honest.
Maybe it's because I know Billy personally. I just think it's going to. I think it's a good appointment, to be honest with you. I think the two of them are steady eddies. They know how to get the job done, and I think they ultimately will save Kilmarnock from relegation.
Look, I'm very happy to come on here. After they beat Livingston, they win their next 3 games, and that I'm happy to come on and hold my hands up. But just on the pure basis of the rumours I've seen going about, the names that I've seen getting sprung about, that I personally think Kilmarnock could have appointed a manager that was 10 times better than Neil McCann, and it's absolutely no disrespect to him. And
Do you think like Stephen was saying there, the fact that Neil was done some really good punditry work. He talks very good. The fact that he likes to bed in young players. The fact that he's obviously saved Dundee from relegation, and also the fact that Billy Dodds has got Inverness to a Scottish final against Celtic. Obviously, Ange Postecoglou's final match in charge of Celtic. Then Billy Dodds was one of the masterminds that beat Brendan Rodgers in his last Celtic versus Rangers match. Things like that. Do you not think? Do you not think that Billy Dodds and Neil McCann are a very good partnership now?
They might be a good partnership, Reagan, but I just don't see it working. There's nothing in my mind right now that suggests that it's going to work. And see if they go out at the weekend and they beat Livingston, then you know what, fair enough. And you know what, I'm probably proven wrong. But nothing about that appointment fills me with any confidence that they'll get saved for relegation. I think you can, it's no disrespect to Neil McCann. I think you can talk as good as you like on punditry and on the radio and all the rest of it, but is he going to do it well in management? I don't know. I personally don't think so. Now I'm happy.
Robbie's got a big debate on tonight.
I'm happy to stick my neck on the line and say I think he will be the next manager sacked. I think he'll be sacked pretty quickly if he doesn't.
Robbie, I've been saying that about David Martindale for the last 6 years. So it's all right.
The German statement confirmed that Davy will not get sacked this season, and he'll probably not get sacked the next season either. He's pretty safe in his job, but look, try to be positive. I mean, look, Stephen said it. What worries me is Kilmarnock don't have football brains, but behind the operation, the board aren't full with football brains that know what they're doing and know the game inside out. That's where it troubles me. That's where I'm a bit worried for them. And look, I think Kilmarnock have a good enough squad to stay up. Genuinely do. I think they've got good players in there. I just really don't see this appointment working, to be honest. Graham summed it up perfectly in the comments. Talking a good game's an easy thing to do, but actually being able to manage a good game's very, very different.
And I mean, guys, I mean, like, how, like, maybe this is another topic for another show, like, but obviously Neil McCann think what is that, a 2-year deal, but I mean, in recent days and recent weeks in Scottish football, when you think about it, contracts, they don't mean anything now in football.
Well, I did see Simo Valakari signed a new contract in 2021, which I think is a good move for St Johnstone. Of course, we'll probably talk about the Championship later, but Aye, contracts are pretty weak. I mean, did Nancy not get quite a big contract at Celtic? Did he not get a good few years on his?
I think
I might be wrong with that. 3 years. Aye, I mean that's still a pretty long time. Nothing's ever guaranteed in football. And look, by the way, I should just say I know I sort of went a wee rant there about Neil McCann not working and all that. I hope it works for him. He seems like a nice enough guy. He seems like a likeable guy, and I hope it does work. But nothing right now fills me with confidence that they'll go to Livingston and win on the game on Saturday. And I don't feel like they will win.
Reagan, what about you? Have you got any hope for David Martindale? I did see on Twitter during the week my first sightings of Martindale did get to France. Was that you? No?
It was me and Reagan.
Right, okay.
No, Michael, that wasn't me. I'm a big supporter of David. I think
you're a big supporter of Packet Thistle as well. So, yeah. So I think Robbie's gave this prediction away for the game early tomorrow. What about Livingston, Reagan? Are you going to make a case for them tomorrow?
To be honest with you, no. I just see, like Robbie said, I'm surprised that David Martindale has won one in 16 matches and he's not been sacked yet. I just find it strange. I'm not digging out Davey here. I'm just saying I find it strange that a manager can go 16 matches without winning a game and nothing's been done about it.
Right, Reagan, does it not worry you a bit more that the board put out that statement saying that they're not going to sack him and that they're not even close to being able to sack him, that they don't even want to sack him? Does that not worry you a bit more for Livingston's future? I mean, Davey so claims that he has this love, this passion for Livingston. I don't disagree with that, by the way. I think he does love that club. But see if he loved that club more than he wants to admit, he'd stepped in and let somebody else take the helm before he gets relegated again.
Yeah, and as Graham's saying there, you can follow us on TikTok. I mean, I'll just put the link up for you there. Make sure you follow us on TikTok. I mean, the actual stuff that we're doing on TikTok is I'm actually enjoying doing it, and it's great to be on TikTok as well. I mean, Scottish football is a great thing to talk about, guys, and I'm just glad that so many people are getting tuned in.
Aye, so we thank Graham for the free promotion. But no, genuinely, Reagan, you've done an absolutely amazing job on the old tiki-talkie, as you call it. It's been wonderful to get interviews and all that sort of stuff, that we're getting a lot of interaction on there and stuff like that. So it's been good. Make sure you go and get a follow as well.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie, just over the last week, we've had over 45,000 views over the past week. So it's been great on the TikTok. And thank you for that.
And we're hoping in the season as well we can get you more interviews and all that sort of stuff, but there's only so often we can get the media. But we appreciate everybody, by the way, at Partick Thistle and St Mirren and all the rest of Brave Rovers, everybody else that's giving us the chance to interview people and all that sort of stuff. It's been a really, really, really good experience.
Robbie, are you going to be along for the... I'm going to go to Partick Thistle and Montrose next week. Are you going to be there as well?
Perhaps, maybe. I mean, as a select few, I'm starting my new job on Monday, so wanted to see what the schedule allows. But I will definitely try. I think St Mirren are playing away, so potentially, aye.
So what's your prediction on the Livingston? I know Ethan was saying about the Hibs game as well, but I mean, Hibs Motherwell is a cracking game, but I think this is a big game as well, Livingston, and especially for Neil McCann's first outing in the dugout. So what's your prediction for the game, Robbie?
It's going to click at some point. I'm going to back it to be this weekend. I'm going to go 2-1 to Livingston.
I'm going to go
2-1.
I'm going to go 2-0 to Kilmarnock.
Oh,
I'm gonna eat, Michael, can I just say, if I'm ranking here, I'm going to eat the biggest humble pie on Sunday night that the world, I think, has potentially ever seen, because all I've done so far is be sort of write Neil McCann off, and I don't want it to sound like that. I just it's one of these appointments. It's almost like Celtic fans with it's like Celtic fans with Wilfred Nancy. So a lot of Celtic fans wrote him off before he even managed a game. That's just the type of
Wilfred Nancy. No, I'm not looking to plug other people, but I think a great article that I seen today, Michael, was from in the Herald, and it's from a great journalist, Stephen McClellan, who said that basically that the Celtic players switched off from Wilfred Nancy in the first 10 minutes of meeting them, which was interesting. And I think he's one of the most respected journalists in Scotland, and I just feel like for that to be the case, surely the board need to look more into what actually went on there. Because if the players are not actually believing in what this guy's saying, then you've got to say they need to take a lot of responsibility as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I will go 1-0 Kilmarnock in this game against Livingston. Couple games to finish up, and then we'll jump on to the championship. By the way, Reagan's right. If you want to subscribe to the channel, the Scottish Football Zone, and also on the TikTok as well. And if you don't want to watch us, I don't know why you don't, because we're nice looking people. You can also listen to us. It's a podcast. You can listen to us in your right ear or your left ear or whatever you do. So go to Spotify for that one. Okay, so one of the other games of the weekend, Robbie, is at Easter Road between Hibs and Motherwell.
Aye, probably everybody's pick for game of the weekend, to be honest with you, Michael. It's set up to be an absolute cracker. And Graham's right, I can't remember a season like this as long as I've been watching football. And sort of the two biggest stories that you're sort of starting to see now keep out is Hibs and Motherwell. Both respectively, Hibs obviously picked up the absolutely huge derby win against Hearts. Motherwell were just absolutely flying right now and don't look like they can be stopped. So when you put both of them together, it's got all the makings of an interesting game, which I'm sure when we go into predictions, it will write out to be a 0-0 and nothing will happen in the game and all that sort of stuff. But it does have the makings of a cracking game. I'm sure Motherwell are going to take an absolutely amazing crowd up to Easter Road to get really up for that game. And honestly, guys, I could see it going either way. And I don't think there's really a winner in this game, to be honest with you, which makes it all that more exciting.
I think it will be. I'm going to give my prediction away right away. I'm going to go the High Beast 2, Motherwell 3.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be an absolute. I think it's going to be an absolute classic. I think actually this season. I think Danny Rowe actually said that this season. He said that about 2 weeks ago. If you actually look at from Celtic and Hearts to Rangers. Then you've got Motherwell and obviously the High Beast, David Gray. I think the football has got better this season. I think it really has.
Standard has got better.
Aye, a lot better.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but this is my game of the weekend, right? And I can't separate the two teams, Robbie, but I'm going for a 2-each draw on this one.
All right, I will.
Staying on the fence as usual.
That's I'm going back on the fence because
see your Scottish Football Zone contract that'll need to be ripped up soon. You need to get the debate more, Michael. Come on.
It's been ripped up for years, mate. It's been in the cupboard as well. I need to dust it down and get it out the cupboard.
Well, I think let's flash our minds back to 5th of May 2010. Motherwell 6, Hibs 6 at Fir Park. I'm not going to go for 6 each again.
Probably. I thought you were going to do me there with my 3-2.
No, I'm all out doing you. I'm going to go 4 each.
4
I think both teams score a lot of goals. I don't think we have a winner in this game, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this game, I know that Dundee Hearts game on the telly and Rangers are on the telly for obvious reasons, Robbie. But this game should have been on Saturday night on Plymouth Sports because it's a brilliant game.
I'm surprised it's no, to be honest with you, Michael, and it's going to be one that I will constantly be keeping updated on because it has got all the makings of an absolute cracking game. We're writing this up now to be 0-0 between both sides, but I genuinely feel like David Gray's sort of never give up. They Hibs players have built a real never give up attitude. Mixed with Jens, attacking style, it's going to make a really good cultured game, and I think both sets of fans will be up for it, and I think that will make it a really good game as well.
I mean, it feels like a cup game, Reagan, a kind of old-fashioned cup game instead of a kind of bowling 3 points.
I think it does, but I think if you're a Motherwell fan, you've got to be enjoying this. Sorry, Michael, I've got the ice cream van going by in Glasgow here. I don't know why people want ice cream right now. It's frozen outside, but if you want ice cream, then fair play to you. But I'm trying to do a YouTube show here.
Sorry, the ice cream van was running at my bit a year ago. I couldn't believe it. I was a bit surprised. But no, Michael, I think you're right. I remember when we played Motherwell at Fir Park a couple of seasons ago, and it was a 4-each cup game. Tony Andreu, I remember, skied a penalty right out of the bar.
Oh, yeah.
I have no feelings for anything.
He played for the Ackies.
You did. He was very good at the Ackies as well. He was rotten at us, right enough. But that had all the makings of an old-fashioned cup game. This one's the same, except it's in the league, and I do think there will be goals in this game. So I'm excited to get home and watch Sportscene after I've obviously been to the Stirling game and see what that's all about.
I mean, there's always a stories all over the park, Reagan, in this game, because you've got Kieran Berry, you've got the boy that plays Dusk. I can't.
You've got Maswinishi, you've got Elliot Watt, you've got Josh Campbell, you've got Grant Hanley. There's literally battles everywhere all that pitch.
Stephen O'Donnell's looking like prime Roberto Carlos, I know. See that pass they put through for the goal against Celtic?
Yeah.
Jamie from off the other side is put a point in, guys. I'd just like to get your thoughts on this. He puts a point in. I'd like to know what you boys, who will finish top 6 at this point.
Do you want me to be really boring with you, Reagan? The current top 6. That's who I think it'll be. So I think it'll be Hearts, Rangers, Celtic, Motherwell, Hibs and Falkirk. And I think that'll be your top 6.
I'm going to be a little bit different. I'm going to say St Mirren get in there instead of Falkirk.
That would be some turnaround for us if we could sneak our way back into the top 6. I mean, if you're looking for another sort of out there pick, Dundee, Stephen Presley, could he manage to find himself raggling in the top 6?
He'll be dreaming.
Well, Reagan, look, in a season where a lot's happened that we didn't think was possible, Dundee getting into the top 6 wouldn't have been the most unimaginable. I mean, they did just beat Falkirk 1-0, so, there's a lot of good mixes of teams in there that could get in.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose now, Michael, we should probably get on to the game of the weekend. And that is up in the Highlands Friday night on the telly.
Oh,
Reagan, I know you're missing a Premiership game. I know.
Yeah. I mean, how dare you, Reagan? I think Robbie's for you, but.
Falkirk, sorry, Robbie, I'm too busy with my team tonight.
the best get kept for last, so we're going to talk about the best team now. Falkirk. No, sorry, Robbie. St Mirren against Falkirk tomorrow.
Aye, it can't be said enough, Michael, that this feels almost like a must-win game for St Mirren. We just had obviously a game versus Livingston postponed, so we didn't get to see the team in action on Tuesday night, which is benefiting us because more time on the training pitch, more time for a new player, one new player to settle in Alan Campbell. But there's obviously been a bit of bad news that I was speaking to you about. It looks like Vice Chairman Jim Gillespie and Chief Operating Officer Keith Lasley look set to join Rangers, both joining the club. I don't know if it's near confirmed yet, but there was obviously the strong rumours that was going to be happening. Obviously, I think Jim would become Rangers' new chief executive. I'm not sure what sort of role Keith would take up. I think it would just be a chief operating officer. So, obviously, we sort of had this lengthy discussion, Michael, that for all that it's been such a glorious 3-4 seasons, and we've built something really, really special here. Stuff does get taken away from you. Eventually, it happened to St Johnstone after they won the Cup double. The pieces sort of started to fall, and I don't want to write off too soon. I suppose John could always go and make some good appointments, but it feels like the sort of big pieces to a backroom team are slowly getting taken away, and it's no nice to see. And obviously, I wish Jim and Keith the best if they are to move on, which of course nothing confirmed yet. It might not happen, but if they are to move on, then I wish them the best of luck, and I go with my highest regards, because they've been brilliant servants to the club, and hopefully we're not losing the manager. But in terms of the match, it's going to be a difficult one. We know Falkirk just beat Aberdeen. They're on pretty good form since coming back up. They're playing really nice stuff. It's going to be a very, very difficult game, I think, and it all depends on how we play. I think, depending on how the results go, it'll be interesting to watch John McGlynn for the first time in action in person this season for me. Interesting to see what he sets his team up to play like. I think Falkirk will bring through a good crowd as well. They always seem today. So, it's going to make it a pretty interesting game, and I think whoever wins this will really set up their season, and for the other team it will maybe collapse their season a wee bit.
Yeah,
Reagan?
I was just going to say, Robbie, that just shows you credit to St Mirren, Robbie, in terms of Rangers are actually taking two members of the board.
Aye, it shows how good we're sort of about the build up, and with being a fan on club, it can always, it can always happen. We're never guaranteed to hang on to these people for too long, and it's always going to get to a point where they are going to move on, because they are brilliant guys at what they do, and the football in space, and they deserve the sort of big moves. But I do think replacing them is going to be a pretty big job for John Needham and the rest of the board today. So. It's going to be an interesting next few weeks, but just ahead of the game, I'm excited to see new boy Alan Campbell, who I predict will make a start somewhere in the game. I think he'll either start or will make an appearance at some point, and I hope he gets on quite well. He's a guy that Rob was known for a long time in football, and if he can keep himself fit, which he claims he has, he's been keeping himself well, then we can find a really, really, really good player in the middle of the park. Robin out on finish. Graham, I said anything above the relegation zone plus the cup win would be a good season in my eyes. I'm not going to put too much expectation on the squad. A lot of people are saying, "Aye, Regan."
I always hear these things on Sky, right? And they always say, if your team wins a trophy, it doesn't matter where you finish in the league. Is that what you're thinking? Are you thinking we've done virtually the impossible? Not the impossible, but you know what I mean. We've done the sort of dream thing you wanted to see. St Mirren at Hampden winning the trophy.
No, but look, I still want us to stay up. There's still a lot to play for. We still need to stay up, and we still need to, be in that mid-table pushing for top 6 battle, which I think we can be. We've got the squad to do that. So no, I don't think the season's written off. I don't think we should be taking it easy now. We've won the cup. That's the last thing Robinson will want. Robinson will want the players to keep pushing, keep making the impossible seem possible, and hopefully get back into the top 6, which is a very, very rough league this year. But first and foremost, Regan, Robinson says it every year: stay up. Just don't get dragged into a relegation battle when we don't need to be. And I personally think we are better than Dundee, Kilmarnock, and Livingston. So I don't think we will get dragged into a relegation battle, but. We've got to start getting wins in the league. It's been, for albeit the cup win was sensational and the run we went on in the cup was unimaginable almost. The league form's been pretty bad this season, and we need to try and turn that around. And, I don't want to disrespect Falkirk because they're playing absolutely amazing, but you should be looking to beat the newly promoted teams at home. That is just the way it is. If a newly promoted team comes up, you're looking at your home games against Livingston and Falkirk and going, right, well, we've got to be getting 3 points in these type of games, so we've got to be getting into the game with that mindset.
Yeah,
and Regan, Falkirk's got a big game as well on Wednesday night against Celtic. We'll be on for that one as well. But first of all, tomorrow, a difficult game at St Mirren.
Because I heard today that you paid double money during the week. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, not exactly. Yeah, how did you guess? That that's why you're not on. So no, big game for Falkirk tomorrow, but also Wednesday night. We'll talk about the Wednesday night. Fun enough on Wednesday night, but what about this game first for Falkirk?
Yeah, I think it'll be a difficult one for them. I think it'll be a close game. I think Falkirk have obviously got players like Miller and Aguman. I hear that Scott Arfield, from what I'm told, is going to join David Martindale and Livingston. I'm
It's
surprised.
been, it's been confirmed, Reagan. It has
Yeah.
signed.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that, Rob, because I thought he would possibly join like a Motherwell or a Partick Thistle.
You know what, I think I have been thinking about that, but I personally think Arfield maybe knows he's not going to get the game time he wants. You know, maybe he wants to be playing each week, and let's be honest, that Falkirk he wasn't getting that, he wasn't playing every week, so maybe he just wants to sort of get that. I think anyway, Livingston's a good club to get that. You know, albeit they're struggling. Maybe he thinks he can go in there and make the difference and try and get them to stay up.
I think you're spot on, Robbie. I think that the big problem for Scott Arfield was that he was sort of the main man last year and he was doing well, but I think now that he could potentially be the catalyst for potentially the survival of David Martindale, because at this stage, I think if David Martindale gets beat this weekend, now I'm not on the show to say David Martindale should be sacked, but surely it must be on the boards thinking if David Martindale goes no matches won in 17 matches, then that's going to be a crisis.
Reagan, I would fully agree with that until I read the chairman's statement, where the chairman specifically said he's got no intention. He posted this last week and he said he's got no intention of sacking David Martindale this season. So no matter what happens at the weekend, that guy's safe.
Okay then, but then I would say to you, well, it's okay saying, well, it's true, I'll be safe, but surely, like, there needs to be a point where if you're not winning matches, I mean, that's what football's about. It's okay, Livingston fans coming on here and going, "Oh, David Martindale's Mr. Livingston. He's done so much for the club." But I think there's always so much to go right. With one match won in 17 matches, there needs to be some sort of responsibility, and
Well,
the fact, and if the Livingston board are going to come in from a German consortium and say they're happy to get relegated, then I'm sorry, but that's just absolutely stupid, because surely they want to see the club grow and develop. And the only way to grow and develop is to be in the top league in Scotland.
Aye, well, look, obviously, like, I don't know why the board seem to want to keep him. I don't. Personally, I think he should have been sacked a long time ago, to be honest with you. And that's, you know, he's done a brilliant job at Livingston previously, but this season he's statistically worse than the season they get relegated, as I keep saying. So I don't know why they're still keeping him. But Reagan, what I'd say is they're not going to sack him, and they don't even seem slightly bothered, and they don't even seem slightly convinced to sack him. So he's what Graham said. Martindale's got control at Livingston, and I don't see that stalled many times soon. I just don't get. My argument would be if Martindale has the heart that he claims he has on Livingston, then surely he'd stepped in and let somebody else go and try. You know, I don't know why he wouldn't. But Hangmaid Graham does make a good point there. John McGlynn for the Aberdeen job. That's one that a few people have put around. I don't think that's a bad appointment, to be honest with you.
There you go. Thanks for your comment. Reagan, he is doing a terrible job on the channel, but keep up anyway. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't on YouTube, the Scottish Football Zone, and you can subscribe on TikTok as well. Somebody says, Robbie, Livy will never get rid of Livy will never get rid of Scottish. Who about
that? He's right. Livingston will not get rid of him, and that's my worry. Because see, if Livingston go down again, Michael, I'm really unconvinced that they'll be able to find a way back up. And you look at all the trouble that Hamilton have went through, and obviously they look very safe now. I know today they confirmed that they've lost a club captain. I think he's joined Arbroath for the rest of the season, which is also a pretty big blow to them. But when a team goes down and they struggle to find their feet, then it can be pretty difficult to come back up. So I don't know. I don't know why the board. I think that if I was the board, I would have sacked them, to be honest. But I suppose the always argument is who's better to replace him. But we've got to try something at some point. I don't know. They're going to keep him, guys. But we could speak about this for the next 6 months. He's not going to get sacked. No chance.
Yeah.
Your prediction for the game, guys?
You want me to go first, or?
Yeah, on you go.
Yeah, you know me.
3-0 Simon. I think we need a win. We drew a big one, and I think it's going to be against Falkirk. So I'm going to back us to win the game. I think it'll be 1-0 after the first half, and I think we'll score 2 late on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Michael. I'm sure there's many people like Joe there, and thank you for checking us out, Joe. And just to tell your friends about the Scottish Football Zone and make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, no, exactly. Thanks for watching, Joe. And I think you're a Celtic fan by that picture as well. I don't know why I'm just hazard, I guess. But no, cheers for watching, Joe. Regan, your prediction for the where are we? I've lost the place now.
St Mirren and Falkirk.
St Mirren and Falkirk.
Everybody's forgetting about this game today.
I'm going to go St Mirren 3, Falkirk 1.
Oh, you're only saying that because Mr. Collins is on tonight. Okay, so I will go St Mirren 10. No, I'm on the keg. But you didn't hear what I was going to say there, Robbie. St Mirren 10, Falkirk 12. No, I'm on the keg. 3-0 to St Mirren tomorrow. There you go. So that's where Premiership done and dusted. We've got a championship game on tonight, and before we get into the talking about the games of the weekend, let's go to Robbie because he's got the team news for. I'm actually quite surprised this game's on. Actually, Ross County against Packet Thistle.
Aye, well, the weather's cleared up, I think, a bit up north, Michael. So
I don't know if you've seen the last TikTok that I posted, Michael, on the Scottish Football Zone, but the fair play to the Ross County supporters and also the volunteers at the stadium who have managed to clear the pitch and clear the surrounding areas.
Did you not go up and Reagan and clear the pitch? No, if you're big,
Yeah, Michael, I've got some sort of grit on my wheels for the wheelchair. I've got loads of stuff that I can help them out with. So yeah, I probably should do it.
What Odd Bob said, by the way, please click the thumbs up if you can like and help the channel out, because it is well appreciated every like that we get on the video, and it helps boost us as well. So if you are watching it there, if you could like, that would be well appreciated. But Michael, it's the beginning of a new era at Dingwall. It's the Stuart at Kettlewell third time regime at Ross County. They obviously play host against Partick Thistle. And Ross County have named the first starting 11 under Stuart Kettlewell, so it is Carson in goals. And then it's O'Sullivan, Randall, Henderson, Phillips, Smith, Iacoviti, Doherty, White, Duncan and Lindsay. I don't know why teams don't put their squad into actual positions, because it makes it a bit more difficult to understand what they're actually trying to do. But on to Partick Thistle, Reagan's Partick Thistle, they will be playing with Clark in goals. It'll be Redden, Ashcroft, Ocean Smith comes into the starting 11, which is quite interesting from my point of view. And then Samuels. Then it is Chalmers, O'Reilly, McPherson, Stanway, Watt, and Let Sosa. So it is I'd say it's a pretty strong Partick Thistle team. Ocean Smith back in from his suspension. Obviously, there was I think a few rumours of him maybe getting recalled back to us, but they seem to be still committed to Partick Thistle. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on the night, and that will probably be, I reckon, probably a good turnout for both sets of fans.
Yeah, I think so. I think Partick Thistle are taking a good wee crowd with them, and I think the home fans will be thinking they've got a new manager, Stuart Kettlewell. I know the Stephen from the Commandment podcast wasn't he too in favour of Stuart Kettlewell. I wouldn't say we're getting a a Christmas card from him next year, but I'm sure that Stuart Kettlewell's got a brilliant affection for the club in the Highlands, so I think it'll be a good game. But
Reagan.
what I would say, Michael, is I heard a wee sneaky peek, Michael, that the Queen's Park and St Johnstone match is more likely to be off tomorrow.
Yeah,
So,
the Greenock Martin match is also having a pitch inspection tomorrow as well, so I think you might find there might be a couple of fixtures in there cancelled.
so if Partick Thistle if they can put pressure on, and then I'm going to watch them on Saturday against Montrose, so hopefully they can build a bit of momentum in terms of Partick Thistle, because I think the club are actually doing a great job this season. No one really expected Mark Wilson and Alex Ray to really be where they are, and fair play to them. I've been talking to the guys all season.
Reagan, can I just ask you on that? I'm quite intrigued with this Partick Thistle stuff. Obviously, we don't get to watch them often because there's no a sort of sports scene for the championship or anything of it. And I know we always make jokes, like, but seriously, like, how is it feeling talking to these guys? What's the sort of confidence coming out of the Thistle dressing room out of managers and players, because they seem right on top of their game right now.
The players are really enjoying it. I was talking to Mark the first time I spoke to him, and Mark Wilson, and he was just sort of saying that he sort of felt pressure because nobody really wanted him in the job, and he felt pressure to really sort of show his worth to be there. And fair play to him, he's done a really good job. And I speak to Alex, and it was quite funny the other week because I actually told him if we were going to do an interview that Rangers will win their match, and he was saying I didn't actually know that this was 45 minutes after the actual after the match, and I think Mark Wilson and Alex Ray are really buying into what they're doing at Partick Thistle, and I think they've got a great squad of players, and I think it just shows you, Robbie, being 2-0 behind last week, a lot of pressure. Obviously, Morton bringing in a new manager last week as well, who was watching them at Firhill. So I think Partick Thistle have shown a real that they've got a really good squad. I spoke to a lot of the players this season. Probably the standout player for me this season has been Samuel, who joined from up in the Highlands as well. So I think in terms of Partick Thistle, I think they've built a good squad. But I also said to Alex Ray a few weeks ago as well, Robbie, that that this was when they drew 0-0 to Rafe Rovers. Weeks ago, I said, "Are you looking to bring people on in January?" And they said yes. That will all be supported by the board. So I think Partick Thistle will be looking to get as many players on as possible.
Aye, well, look, they've got the right mentality. They've gone a couple of goals down to Martin at home when they've been nice, but they showed the comeback, they showed the fight, the spirit that they needed to win the game, and that's going to help you throughout a season. So, aye.
So, a couple. Before we go, guys, run through the games. Obviously, tonight we've got the game at Dingwall. Reagan is going out on his helicopter after the show, and drive responsibly.
Sorry, just quickly on that game. Well, if you don't mind, you some score predictions. What we think is going to happen. Almost predicting the unpredictable. Almost with the championship.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother asking Reagan this one because he'll go for Ross Kent to win. But yeah, Robbie, what about you, mate?
No, I think this is going to be a close game up in the Highlands, and what is still probably the cold conditions. So I'm going to go Stuart Kettlewell gets after a decent enough start. I'm going to go 1 each.
I'm going to go
Reagan.
The home team 1, Partick Thistle 3.
I couldn't have seen that coming.
Speaking to a lot of Partick Thistle fans today, Michael and Robbie, and they were telling me, I'm just reporting on the games, Michael, and they were just telling me that they've still got the fear after Partick Thistle going 3-0 up there in the playoff.
Aye, Regan, what about that comment that just came in there? About, Partick Thistle having good wingers, and obviously the wee joke about Balak but what is the Partick Thistle wide men like?
I think Chalmers is a decent player. I think he played for Dundee United and Inverness as well. Chalmers is a good player. Also like Fitzpatrick, who I'm sure you'll know, Robbie, pretty well. I mean, Fitzpatrick was pretty. I thought he was a pretty decent player. I managed to speak to him last week after they played Dunfermline at home, and he was the match winner. So I think he's probably Partick Thistle's best winger at the moment. But like that, the person saying there, I don't know if you guys seen, but Tony Watt actually scored a cracker for Partick Thistle last week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Absolute goal, man.
Yeah, great goal. And see, in terms of the rest of the championship matches, then we should probably do a prediction for the rest of those games and then head off.
Yeah.
Guys.
So the rest of the games, I'll run through the games tomorrow. Airdrie, Ayr United against Airdrie, Morton against Conferring, Queen's Park against Johnson, and Raith Rovers against Arbroath. What's your pick of the games, guys?
I'm going to go Raith Rovers Arbroath. That's an absolute cracking game on paper.
Yeah, that's a great game.
Just get after a pretty good start. Arbroath are right up there. Probably when people didn't expect him to be. I was actually listening to Ryan Flynn, who made an appearance on BBC last week, to sort of talk about the situation at Celtic and the sort of situation at St Mirren as well in Aberdeen. He's been one of the key influential players in the midfield, and Arbroath are kind of up there now, but Raith Rovers are looking pretty decent under Dougie, so that'll be a pretty entertaining game to watch. I think they are, Michael. I keep saying this, I'd love for there to be a championship highlight package, and I know you can go to each club individually and watch the games and all that sort of stuff, but I'd love for there to be like a sports scene for the championship and people talking about it.
Well, I did notice, Robbie, last week on not to advertise any websites on here because I'm not biased at all, but on the BBC website on the Monday, they do a highlights package for the championship all the way down.
Oh, but that's quite interesting. I need to give that a look at. I've not seen that before, so if that's there. But again, I'd still like somebody to be talking about it and analyse it, like the sports scene and all that sort of stuff. It's about time we start giving recognition to every league in Scotland. I personally couldn't tell you the first thing about League 2 or League 1. I could maybe look and see glimpses of what teams are doing and see the Hamilton story and all that sort of stuff. But I don't really get a good view of what's going on. And
yeah, I mean, how good was it to see that German owners took over Hamilton? It's good to see that.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant comeback story for them. But no, genuinely for that. I say this every weekend.
I mean, I think that could go on the benefit Scottish football, Regan.
Yeah, because I think Scottish football's a bit undersold, but there's so many talking points about Celtic and Rangers, and I've been watching so many games this season, and I think there's so many great games to watch. I mean, I was actually so raging that I missed the match last week between Partick Thistle and Morton because I was actually due to go to that game, but I was at Celtic Park instead, so I was disappointed that I chose that game.
There you go. So that's your weekend fix of the Scottish Football Zone. We'll be back on Sunday. If you like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube as well. And we'll be back on Sunday looking back at the game. So thanks to Robbie, thanks to Regan, thanks to Ethan, and thanks to Stephen Hope from the Courage U podcast for giving his views on Neil McCann. So so that is the YouTube link. Subscribe to us there, and we will speak to you again on Sunday.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.